Hi, everyone. This is Sheila Butler with Successful Women Talk. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. And on the show today, I have Caterina Rando. Now, since 1993, she's been coaching, consulting, and providing solutions to build thriving businesses. Her work is showing entrepreneurs how to succeed by building their expert status and using value-added marketing. So I met Caterina a few weeks ago in Dallas at an event, and immediately loved her presence on stage. She has a great message and just an all-around neat person. So I can't wait to introduce her to you all. So welcome, Caterina.
Thanks, Sheila. I'm so happy to be with you.
Well, and I appreciate you being here. Like I said, I met you for the first time, and I'd heard a lot about you through some mutual friends, but I'd met you the first time a few weeks ago in Dallas. And man, your presentation was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It was so fun.
It is. It was really fun. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But before we do, let's step back just a little bit and tell everybody, a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of how that got you to where you are today.
Sure. Well, I help women build thriving businesses. And my first business that I had myself was a cafe and catering business. And I loved owning a business. I loved having customers come in all day long. I loved getting to know people. What I didn't love, though, I didn't love making sandwiches and wearing spaghetti sauce for, day in, day out. So I was trying to figure out what is the right business for me. I like business. What's the right business for me? And one day this lady thanked me for some business advice I had given her. And her gratitude literally touched my heart. I felt a pang of bliss. And I thought, hey, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to help women build thriving businesses. And so that's what I've been doing for over 20 years now. And really, in addition to helping them be strategic, I like to help them be loud and proud about the value they bring, because a lot of women keep it to themselves, how awesome they are. And also teach them how to use speaking to grow their business is another big area we focus on.
Oh, I love that. Well, let me ask you this. I want to jump back just a little bit. So your very first business, your catering business, how did you get into that? So were you from a family of entrepreneurs, or did you just stumble into it, or how did that happen?
Well, I think it was more the stumble approach, in that my father worked for the city and my mother's a retired school teacher, and my mom owned the building, and the people that had the deli were leaving. And so my sister started it. And then after a while, she wasn't in love with it, so she left. So kind of fell to me. So yes, I didn't make a career choice for food service. I just kind of ended up in it. And it was the people and the business part of it that I liked the most, not so much the food service. Whereas my sister, now she's back there. She likes the food. She has her own line of granola, and they do lots of great baking. She likes more the food part. I like more the people in the business, which is why I came in this other direction.
I love that. And I think we're kindred spirits that way, because I stumbled into my first business as well. So in business school, I met my business partner. He had already had the idea to start a furniture and decor business. He was really good with that. I was good with logistics, customer service, and management. So we buddied up and we started a business. But I wasn't in love with furniture and home decor. I knew nothing about it, as a matter of fact. But I loved the business aspect of that. And then when I changed, 3 years ago, I sold the business. And when I changed roles, I found that I went back to my roots, which is helping people. I love helping entrepreneurs, especially women. And I'm very nerdy, productivity, system-like, and that comes natural to me, and it doesn't to a lot of people. So you must have seen that same thing. So someone saw that in you, that lady that said, hey, thanks for giving me that advice. How long did it take you to go, okay, I'm doing this? And how did you segue into that?
Well, on that day when she said thank you, my business coach, I did have a business coach at the time, she said to me, Caterina, you will make a good coach. Now, how did she think that shy girl was going to do that? I didn't know. But part of our job as coaches and consultants is to hold a bigger vision for our clients than they hold for themselves. And that's what my coach did for me. And I'm forever grateful. And so I thought, well, I had already gotten her advice. This is what I want to do, help women in business. And so that sent me on this trajectory. And, for a lot of years, Sheila, I fought between, am I a coach? Am I a speaker? Because, I love to speak. And that's why in the last 3 years, we've really merged the two with my own advanced programs, my own events, so I'm booking myself to speak and then coaching my clients, which is fabulous. And, business is an evolution, and having your own business is an evolution. And if you're willing to keep changing, it will turn into something that you will be so happy with.
I totally agree. Let me ask you this. So, what made you have a business coach? Because early on, you had a business coach.
Right.
So some of us,
Before most people even knew
that's
what
what I was going to say. How did you know? Like, if you've been doing this for 20 years, you had a business coach back before, especially for women, that was even heard of.
25 years ago. And my friend George was in sales. He was in telephone sales, like voicemail sales at the time.
Talking to people.
Yeah, right. We're going way back. He's selling voicemail systems, and he has his business coach, Laura, or for him, it was more of a sales coach to help him get more sales. And he was raving about Laura, and, I was new in business and really not having much direction in terms of, or guidance. And so that's why I hired Laura, because I knew, all help is, well, not all help is good will help, but it's good to look for all kinds of help.
Right.
And really the first job I had when I was with my business coach was to take a day off. And I could still use a little coaching in that area if you ask my husband. But, there's so much to being an entrepreneur. It's not just sales and marketing, it is who we are. And that's part of why I focus on the business building busters with my clients too, because especially as women, it's not just about sales and marketing. It is about who we bring to our business.
I agree. And that's why I think it is so important that we get back to the whole work-life blend. For a long time, we were forced to separate those things.
Right.
And I believe 100% that you can have it all if you know what your all is, if you've defined that.
Yes.
But so it is a blend. I love being a mother, but I love being a businesswoman. I mean,
Me too.
They're both very important to me. And I
Yes.
don't have to separate those. For so long, we thought we did.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing about having your own business, because you get to bring yourself to work. You get to be who you are in your business. I'm Italian. I love tea. I want to help people succeed. I like to have fun, and I get to bring all of those things to my business. I don't have to leave them at home because, there's a different corporate culture. We get to create our own business culture and have that be a reflection of who we are, which is wonderful.
I totally agree. Let me ask you this. So you said something that I thought was very interesting, is that you help people thrive. How do you do that? So but actually, before we touch on that, I want to touch on one more thing before that.
Okay.
You said that we as women, we don't toot our horns enough. And I totally agree. Why is that? And what can we do to help people be more authentic and okay with their authentic self?
Well, I think, the thing is that we have to look, there's many factors, and we could talk about this all day. But part of it is that we have not been socialized to be businesswomen. And, you want to remember that we've only been in the workforce for a couple of generations, and only in really in terms of masses of us, entrepreneur roles for a generation. And so, what did we hear when we were kids? Be nice, be gracious, don't speak until spoken to, all those messages that may have served us when we were 6, but they don't serve us when we're 36 or 56. And so, because that's who we were before, we bring that to who we are now. So we have to learn some new skills. And also, we don't want to hurt people's feelings. We want to be gracious, all these things. And guess what? We can be gracious, and we can still be loud and proud and let people know, hey, I can help you with that. I have a solution for you. And it's a new skill that we have to learn if we want to have clients.
Yes, I agree. And it's even something that I still struggle with. I was on the call with someone the other day, and just helping them with something that I saw with their business, just out of a friendship. And she's like, how can you help me? And I'm like, why is she asking me? Why didn't I tell her that this is what I do?
Right.
Because if I wasn't intentionally setting it up for a sales call. It was truly, I was just trying to help.
Right.
And it's making myself really think that way sometimes.
Right. Right. And the thing is, yes, we want to always help. And if we could use a few new clients, then we want to say, by the way, if you got value from this, would you like to discuss working with me? Because we don't always ask the question. And Sheila, you hit on it. We want to help. We want to help. And so often we help at the detriment to our business because we're not asking for compensation or enough compensation.
Oh, that's a great point. Okay, let's talk about how you help people thrive in their business. So what do you do? What's the role? And walk us through the process of taking on, like maybe what you do with a new client. How do you get them over some of those humps and
Sure.
down that path?
Well, the first thing I do is I invite new clients to join me for either my Business Breakthrough Summit or my Sought After Speaker Summit, which are 2-day live events that support you to be more loud and proud if you come to the Business Summit. And the Speaker Summit, of course, is about using speaking to get clients. One of the things we do at the Business Breakthrough Summit, in addition to sales and strategy, is we talk about business building busters for women.
Okay.
So, for example, one of the business building busters for women is that we're waiting for ready. And we're getting ready and we're getting everything together and we've got to have it all figured out before we get in action.
Man,
And
that's such a good point.
And the problem with that is that we never really are truly ready until we've done something. And it's in doing something that we begin to build the skill. And then the next time we're going to be ready because we've done it before. We miss that point a lot of times. Also, it's this preparation mode too long. And what that does is it pushes out the revenue. If somebody, for example, somebody says to me, Caterina, I want to do my own event. I'm going to schedule it for next spring. Well, why do you need to wait till next spring? Next month is also good. And say, well, I want to get this ready. I want to give it. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect.
Oh, say that again. I so agree.
Done is better than perfect.
Yeah, and we just don't get that sometimes, and we're doers. Done is better than perfect.
Right. And the other thing, Sheila, is that we have so many skills to master and to recognize that we do, as entrepreneurial women, want to master them all, but mastery only comes from practice, or as Malcolm Gladwell points out in his book Outliers, 10,000 hours in. So you don't get to 10,000 hours of sales calls if you're too scared to pick up the phone. You don't get to 10,000 hours of speaking if you're waiting until you're a perfect speaker before you start to speak, missing the point that every speech is practice for the next speech. So this is why I want women to get in action and not worry about having it be perfect or even excellent. Good is good enough.
Good is good enough. Are those the two biggest busters that you see, or stumbling blocks or hurdles that you see with women usually?
There's a lot of them. Another big one is an unwillingness to be uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Unwillingness to be uncomfortable, because the other thing is the only way you get comfortable with anything is having done it. I mean, think about anything we do. By doing it, we become more comfortable doing it. And I really want to encourage women to be willing to be uncomfortable every day. Some little small task every day that makes you uncomfortable, do it, because that will make you more comfortable, build your skills, build your mastery. Another buster that I want to point out is what I call the myth of right timing. When opportunities come to us, everything may not be ideal in our life to take advantage of that opportunity. And so sometimes women tell themselves, oh, it's not the right time. That's a great opportunity, but it's not the right time. Maybe a client wants them to do something that they haven't done before, and rather than figure it out and stretch, they tell themselves, well, it's not the right time because I have these other projects. Yeah, but if that's a new and exciting opportunity, put some attention on it, shine the spotlight, figure it out, because that could open a whole new world of not only possibilities, but revenue for your company.
Oh, I love it. Let me ask you this, because sometimes I think we put ourselves in our own way because we think, I know we should get out there and speak, but maybe we're an expert, or we think we're kind of an expert on something, but maybe we're not as smart as so-and-so, or maybe I'm not as smart as this, or maybe I have, what do you do for those types of things?
That's a good one. And Sheila, thank you for talking about this, because this is what a lot of people say. They say, when I have a few more years experience, then I'll get started. When I have my 10 more credentials, then I'll get started. Here's the question to ask, okay, when we consider our expert status. Do you have value to bring? And if someone can honestly say, yes, I do have value to bring. We don't have to know everything about everything, but if you know that you can give a talk, write an article, share some tips, that's enough. If you know you have value to bring. And that is the yardstick for women to use. And again, this is often why, I look at the conference, there's not enough women speakers. Well, part of it maybe they're not seeking out women speakers, but part of it is because we're not being loud and proud enough saying, hey, I'm a good for your conference. Pick me. Here's my info. I've got value to bring. I'm going to do a great job for your audience, because we're waiting until we feel that we're ready to be the expert. How do you become the expert? How do you become the speaker? You start doing it.
I love that. Well, let's talk about that, because the talk that I heard you give in Dallas was talking about becoming a speaker and how important that can be for you, for your recognition, expert status, and getting new clients. Let's talk a little bit about speaking.
Okay, great. So here's what I want to say. Now, it's fabulous to be a professional speaker, give a speech, get a check. That's what I would consider professional speaking. And I encourage people to have that as one revenue stream in their business. What I also want to encourage people to do is do what we call marketing speaking. Go give a speech and come home with clients. That's what I teach, and that's what I want people to use as one of their major marketing and client attraction strategies. And here's why it works. It works because you go, you share your value, and then when you're done, you say, by the way, if you would like to work with me further, and then you make what we call an easy yes offer. Not offering your big, huge package or 6-month program, but an easy yes offer, which might be for one consultation or a 3-hour workshop or something like that. Because you've already given them so much value, some of them will be very ready and will take advantage of that easy yes offer. So now you walk out of your office or your house, you go somewhere, nobody knows who you are. By the time you get home, you've got 5, 10, 20 new clients. What could possibly be better than that for a half-day investment of your time? Nothing.
I agree. How difficult is it for you? I'm a natural talker, so I talk more. I love talking more than I like to write. I've never met a stranger, and you seem to be that way as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but how difficult is it when you have someone that's a little bit more of an introvert or a little bit shyer? They still have great skill sets. Getting them out there to put themselves out there. Any tips you have for those types of people?
Well, Sheila, let me say this. I do not consider myself the kind of person that just talks to everybody and goes up everywhere. And in fact, I just had a discussion yesterday with a brain expert, and we were talking about, that I'm more in the middle of introvert and extrovert. And really, I would rather talk to 200 people in the audience than, 20 people at a cocktail party. And I think many people feel that way.
I think you're right.
The thing about being the speaker is, guess what? You have permission to speak. And I find that very appealing. Also, you get to share your value, which is so wonderful. For the people that are shyer, or not as, they like the idea, but they're like scared, freaked out, and frightened by it, which I can totally get. It doesn't have to be 20 people around a boardroom table or 50 people in a hotel ballroom. And this is how you can start, Sheila. 3 gals and a flip chart around your dining room table. You don't even need the flip chart. There's 3 gals and a handout, and you're ready to go. And this is what I want to share, because people often think, well, I've got to do this big thing, and you can move towards that, but just start where you are. What I tell all my clients is start where you are. And as a result of that, then you build.
Love that. Hey, Caterina, so you travel a lot. You do summits, you do a lot of coaching, you do events and conferences. So I'm a bit of a productivity nut, and I'm a scheduler. How do you stay productive and keep up with everything, being busy? I know you're in Dallas last month. You're in Dallas again next week.
Yeah.
How do you stay on track? How do you stay productive?
Well, I have a wall calendar, which I am totally in love with, which is the whole. And by the way, I have an online calendar, but I'm a big fan of the wall calendar, the year, and then we have the next year right underneath it. I really encourage people to get a wall calendar if they don't have one. And then I have an on the ground assistant. His name's David. I call him my on the ground assistant because he comes to the office. He does a lot of the admin things that cannot be done virtually. I also have a virtual assistant. And really, in my organization, I've gotten really clear my time is best spent speaking, meeting with clients, and talking to potential clients and doing what we're doing right now, which would be interviews and speeches and things more from a marketing perspective. When you get clear what are the best activities for you, then you can have people support you with the rest. And I'm definitely a productivity nut too, enthusiast.
Enthusiast, that sounds nicer.
Yeah, enthusiast for sure. And so I'm always looking and thinking about, who else can help me with this. Now, you're talking to me 20 years into my career, and some of our listeners might be just getting started and think, well, Caterina, I can't have a on-the-ground assistant and a virtual assistant. And, my husband does all the hotel negotiations for all of our events. I encourage people to at least start with a virtual assistant or somebody who comes in a few hours a week. And because what that does is it frees you up, the business owner, to do more revenue producing activities. And often, this is another challenge for women, Sheila, is that, yes, we can do it all, but is it the highest and best use of our time? And by having support for people that have other expertise than you, then you are freed up to do those revenue producing activities.
You're working on your business instead of in it.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, when we first started talking, you said that you sort of transitioned. You were open-minded enough to go from different segments of your business. Now you've kind of within the last 3 years gone into speaking. Was it an inner voice for you that said, okay, it's now time to transition? Because a lot of times I find that we as women, business people in general, say, I'm really comfortable here. I'm making a good salary. Why would I want to mess up if it's going well the way it is now? What made you say, okay, I'm going to transition a bit and it's going to be okay?
Okay, so let me say this. I've actually been speaking for over 20 years. Love to speak. What we've added in the last 3 years are so many of our own events.
Gotcha.
And yes, that was definitely a new pinnacle, a new level of engagement, a new commitment, financial and otherwise, to do so many live events. And we'll do about 70 or 76 live events this year. The thing is, and Sheila, I said 3 years ago, but here's why I didn't do it 12 years ago, 15 years ago. I looked at other people in my industry and I said to myself, and I'm giving you the open the kimono, giving you the truth here.
Love it.
Okay. I said, I'm not that good yet. And we can't fix yesterday, so I'll just have to live with it. But the thing is, what I didn't realize, Sheila, is guess what? The way you get that good is you start doing your own events and booking yourself and practicing yourself and continuing to improve. So wherever somebody might be looking at other people in their industry, and you said this earlier, when we were talking about getting started with speaking, oh, I'm not that good yet. Yeah, well, sitting in your office is not going to help you get that good. Or same thing with coaching or with consulting or whatever new area we want to continue to develop. The only way we get good is to do it over and over and over. And I do see that every speech and every event improves for the next one, is practice for the next one. So yes, the new pinnacle though was scary. The new transition was scary. And I'm so, so glad that I was willing to be uncomfortable, which is what I want our listeners to do.
I had the great privilege, like I said, of seeing you in Dallas. So I know you do a lot of events. Can you talk to us a little bit about your events and where those are and maybe how someone could find where you're going to be? I encourage you to go see Caterina live. It's awesome.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Well, yes, so the two events where people usually start with us are the Business Breakthrough Summit and the Sought After Speaker Summit. And we do have a Business Breakthrough Summit coming up in Dallas very soon, and we will have another Sought After Speaker Summit in Dallas in a few months. And really, the Business Breakthrough Summit is about all those things you can do to build your revenue, gain Insta clients, and establish yourself as an expert. We don't get too much into speaking because I got my whole other summit on that, but it does leak in a little bit because I always love to talk about it. And that's where people come to really upgrade their sales and their systems and their strategies to build their business and their revenue. And then the Sought After Speaker Summit is where I share my 10 steps to becoming a sought after speaker so that you can have all the clients you want simply from speaking. Now, I'm not recommending people have to go out and speak, as many days as me, but the thing is, they will set their own goals and then they'll learn not only how to give a good talk, which is very important, but there's 2 other important skills that people need around speaking. They need to be able to get booked, and they, of course, need to be able to have people say yes to their easy yes offer. So we spend a whole afternoon on the second day on how to get people to be a yes for your easy yes offer. And the Biz Breakthrough Summit website is biz breakthrough.com, bizbreakthrough.com, and soughtafterspeaker.com for the Sought After Speaker site.
Perfect. And we will link both of those up in the show notes as well.
Thank you so much.
Are those the 2, if someone wanted to connect with you, are those the 2 places you would like?
They can do it there. Then they can go to facebook.com/thrivingbusiness, or they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm all over the place. Or they can pick up the phone.
She's everywhere.
Yes.
Caterina, I appreciate your time. I'm going to hopefully see you next week in Dallas again. Yes. I'm really super excited about that. We'll link everything up in the show notes. I appreciate what you're doing for women, and I appreciate your time today.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sheila.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The world needs you, so don't underestimate your greatness. If you liked today's episode, you can spread the word by using the share buttons on the side. And if you want to learn how to simplify your life and your business, join the community and get our free updates directly to your inbox.